Good afternoon. This is Ashley Golden, Assistant City Manager with the City of Oxnard. On January 17th, staff is requesting council approval of a revision to the conceptual design for the South Oxnard Aquatic Center and an amendment to the professional services agreement with design architect ELS Architecture and Urban Design. The report and presentation will cover the following topics: the goals for the South Oxnard Aquatic Center, the cost of the alternate B concept plan that council selected at their September 6th meeting, as well as information related to increases in the design cost and geotechnical work, which is new information, recommendations for value engineering to reduce the overall project cost, electrification of the site, a contract amendment with ELS, and the financial impacts and bonding associated with the project, as well as impacts to the overall project schedule. As a reminder from the September 6th meeting, the goals for the South Oxnard Aquatic Center are to provide ample learn-to-swim opportunities and develop a love for the water, deliver diverse aquatics programming, ensure equity and access to large water bodies, to seek grants for the construction and operation of the center, and to strike a balance of construction investment and future operating costs. The selected concept plan includes a 6-lane lesson pool, the zero beach and lazy river, a double slide, and bleacher seating. The interior spaces of the concept plan include administrative offices, lifeguard office, a first aid room, training room, multi-purpose space, a concession area, locker rooms, equipment and programming storage, as well as the required mechanical and chemical storage areas. The costs for the South Oxnard Aquatic Center were estimated at roughly $59.3 million at the September 6th meeting. Since that time, the architect has developed the schematic design further with more details, which has allowed a clearer understanding of the estimated cost for the approved plan. This also includes refined costs for the programming elements, such as furnishings for the offices and rooms, slides, scoreboards, and other like items. Additionally, more details resulting from the initial geotechnical investigation of the proposed site have identified soil remediation needs that should be included in the project as a risk mitigation effort. Lastly, the soft costs associated with the increased costs of the project have been updated. These new pieces of information and refinements to the project bring the total estimated cost for alternate concept plan B to $68 million, an approximately $9.5 million increase since September. With the geotechnical and engineering reports underway that we've developed during the schematic design phase, it was discovered that the proposed site for construction is in a liquefaction zone. Because of this significant amount of investment in the South Oxnard Aquatic Center, staff recommends conducting soil stabilization work above what is minimally required by the building code. This can provide for a higher level of probability that the center will be useful after a high-intensity seismic event. The costs for this soil stabilization work are estimated at roughly $2 million. At this time, the prior use of the parcel and ownership history before the city acquired College Park in the late 1960s is not available. Therefore, there is a level of uncertainty about what may be found during the environmental site assessment phase 2. The preliminary hazardous material report suggests that the area needs potential soil remediation for possible soil contaminants. Until a final hazardous materials report is completed, staff estimates that the cost of soil remediation to be $1 million. If the environmental site assessment phase 2 defines a larger and significant remediation requirement, the cost could be as high as $5 to $10 million. At this time, staff recommends using $1 million estimate to address the soil remediation. These two items combined total $3 million. The balancing point continues to provide a place that allows all Oxnard residents to gain water safety skills and recreational opportunities, while also being financially responsible for the many needs of the city. This balancing point includes ensuring that what is ultimately constructed today can be well maintained, staffed, and managed into the future from an operating and budget standpoint. Because of the increased costs since September, staff considered various ways to reduce the project cost while still maintaining the programming elements and meeting the goals of the South Oxnard Aquatic Center. These reductions considered, which are known as value engineering options, total just over $8.9 million and include a 30-meter pool in place of the 50-meter pool council selected in September. The value engineering options include building reductions, removal of redundant functions or areas not specific to the center's mission, and tightening up of the overall site plan to minimize parking and landscape areas. Ultimately, there is limited ability to reduce the project cost to what council approved in September without greatly affecting the programming and amenities and the fun water side of the center or replacing the 50-meter pool with a 30-meter pool. Staff kept the following core principles of the South Oxnard Aquatic Center top of mind when analyzing and recommending value engineering options. The goal of the South Oxnard Aquatic Center is to design and construct a community-based aquatic center that provides an opportunity for water safety by teaching the community of all ages to swim. Secondary to that goal, the center is intended to create a love of water through active and passive recreational opportunities for Oxnard youth and seniors, families, swimming groups, swim teams, and water polo teams. And lastly, the financial responsibility for the many needs of the city. Based on these principles, staff could not recommend the inclusion of value engineering options associated with the reduction of the fund water zone elements. Those value engineering options included items such as the elimination of the spray pad, elimination of one of the slides, and a reduction in the overall size of the activities pool and lazy river. The replacement of the 50-meter pool with a 30-meter pool allows for all programming discussed at the September 6th meeting, with the exception of the long course, which would only be allowed or provided for with a 50-meter pool. It also provides learn to swim opportunities, ensures access to large bodies of water, presents grant opportunities, and strikes a balance between the community opportunities, construction cost, and operational cost. A 30-meter pool also allows further reductions in the deck, building, and landscape areas without affecting programming, again, with the exception of the long course the 50-meter pool provides. This table was presented at the September 6th council meeting. With the exception of the two items highlighted in yellow, all these amazing programs and amenities can be provided for with the revised conceptual design. Costs for the revised concept are estimated to be $56.7 million. This includes approximately $8.9 million in value engineering recommendations, as well as the increased construction and amenity costs in September, and the newly discovered need for soil stabilization and remediation. Staff analyzed the potential to develop an all-electric facility, but we do not recommend that at this time, primarily because of the upfront budget impacts and the lack of expertise locally for the operations and engineering of that type of design. It is estimated to add over $2.5 million in upfront project cost. Furthermore, the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan recently approved by City Council does not rely on city facilities to be operated as all electric. Despite these things, the project will still provide for energy efficiencies per the Cal Green requirements, and staff will continue to explore grant opportunities for electrification of the building in the future. Due to city requests for extra services, the ELS contract contingency has been depleted to a lower than normal level at this stage of the project. As a result, staff recommends approval of an amendment to the professional services agreement with ELS in the amount of $75,000 for future unforeseen needs and to extend the contract terms to July 24th, 2026. There is sufficient funding available from the existing appropriation of the $5 million in state grant funds for this phase of the project. The capital improvement project budget approved by City Council identified a future general fund secured bond for construction of the South Oxnard Aquatic Center. As discussed at the September 6th meeting, bonding capacity is affected by construction costs. The increased cost of the South Oxnard Aquatic Center limit future financing affordability of other city projects like fire stations, senior center, and seawalls. This is an important factor considering the many city facility needs. Based on today's interest rate, which are subject to change, the annual debt service for the originally estimated $30 million bond would be $2 million. Assuming the need for a $50 million bond due to the increased construction cost, at today's rate, that would result in an annual debt service payment of $3.4 million. Again, this is an important factor considering the many needs of the city. Staff estimates that the current schedule is about a month and a half delayed and could grow to as much as 9 months delay due to the additional construction and remediation needs related to the geotechnical and soil studies. Although we do not anticipate let me start over on the schedule. Currently, the project's delayed by about 1.5 months. This is because of the extra time it's taken to identify the value engineering recommendations for the project. Also, with the geotechnical studies and the additional construction and remediation that's expected for the project, this delay could grow as much as 9 months. Staff and ELS will continue to push to keep the project on schedule. Staff recommends that the City Council approve a revision to the approved conceptual design for the South Oxnard Aquatic Center to include a 30-meter pool, to also approve an amendment to the professional services agreement with ELS to increase the contract amount by $75,000 and extend the term to July 24th, 2016. And find that the project is currently undergoing CEQA review, which will be completed and ready for final review by the City Council at the time of construction award. That completes my presentation. City staff, as well as the ELS team, will be available at the meeting to provide any additional insight and answer questions. Thank you for your time.